Hello and welcome back for chapter 6 of The Littles Go to School. Hope everyone's doing great. It's been so much fun doing our Zooms every day and seeing everyone. For the few of you who I still haven't seen, make sure that you accept the Zoom invites in your Gmail and you join in with us at least a couple times throughout the week. Let's see, so chapter 5 was an exciting one. It ended with Tom and Lucy being inside of the gerbil cage and Mrs. Big coming, picking up the cage and taking it out of the house. So I asked you guys to predict what you think was going to happen next, and some of you came up with some pretty good ideas. So we'll see if your predictions hold true. Let's see, so we have a new guest reader for chapter 6. This is someone who Colin and I have been trying for years to get fired, but no one will listen to us call. Let's see, he also likes to talk about the diets that he's on, yet eats donuts for breakfast every morning. And he likes to drive me absolutely insane by doing this super annoying Disney witch voice. You guys definitely know who I'm talking about. So let's get started with chapter 6. Mrs. Big placed the gerbil's cage in the front seat of her car. She drove out of the driveway and down the road. Tom and Lucy lay very still under the wood chips. After a while, Tom stuck his head up to look around. He saw Mrs. Big in the driver's seat. She might see them if they tried to get out of the cage. Finally, the car stopped. Mrs. Big picked up the cage and took it into a building. She carried it up some stairs and into a room. Tom and Lucy heard the voices of many children. They heard a woman say, "Children, Mrs. Big has brought Henry's gerbils to visit us for a few days." Mrs. Big said, "Henry was in this class 4 years ago. He remembered that the children liked to have animals in the classroom. He insisted that I bring the gerbils for your last week before summer vacation." "Tom," whispered Lucy, "where are we?" "Did she say classroom?" Tom asked. "I think so," said Lucy. Tom raised his head out of the wood chips for a moment. "It is," he said. "We're in school." "School," said Lucy. "I don't want to be in school." By this time, Mrs. Big was through talking to the second grade teacher and had left the room. "All right, children," said the teacher, "you may gather around the gerbil's cage for a few minutes." The children dashed from their seats and formed a half circle around the table where the cage was. They made all kinds of comments. "Mrs. White, can we touch them?" "Oh, look, they're so cute." "Yuck, they look like rats." "We have hamsters at our house." "What do they eat?" "Children, if you'll be quiet, I'll tell you something about these little animals," said the teacher, Mrs. White. Tom and Lucy were so scared they'd almost stopped breathing. Lucy moved her hand slowly through the wood chips and found Tom's hand. She held it hard. For the next few minutes, the teacher told the children what she knew about gerbils. She reached into the cage and picked up one of the animals so the children could pet it. "They'll be here for a part of the week," Mrs. White said, "so you'll get a chance to know them better. Now, let's all get back to our work." When the children were back in their seats, Lucy whispered to Tom, "If the gerbils are going to stay here, how do we get back home?" "I don't know," said Tom. "But we can't stay in this cage and wait for Mrs. Big." "What'll we do?" "We can go to Miss Gogg's apartment," Tom said. "She must be there by now. Someone must be there." "Do you know the way?" "Yes," said Tom. "But the trouble is, the secret door into the wall passageway is at the other end of the room." "Tom, how do we get there?" said Lucy. "There are thousands of big children all over the room." "I have a plan," said Tom. He started to get up. "Follow me." Just then the schoolroom door opened and a woman came in. She said hello to Mrs. White and walked toward the back of the room. Tom ducked down into the wood chips. "Stay hidden," he said to Lucy. "All right, Mr. K, take it away."
The woman sat right down at the table next to the gerbil's cage. "Darn," whispered Tom. In a few moments, a child came over and sat down at the table with the woman. "What are you going to read for me today, Jenny?" said the woman. The child held up a book for the woman to see. "This," she said, "it's about a mean kid named Max, and how he picks on a kid named Tony, and what happens in everything. Poor Tom and Lucy, they had to lie under those wood chips and listen to children read stories. Some of them were good stories, but it was hard to enjoy them while laying face down in a pile of wood chips, only inches away from big people. About an hour went by, and finally the woman got up. And as she left the table, Tom hopped up. "Come on, Lucy," he said. "We've got to get out of here." Back to you, Mrs. KP.
Thank you very much, Mr. K. You and Teddy looked extremely cozy. The tiny children ran from the cage and hid behind a terrarium on the table. Tom pointed to a bookshelf next to the table. "We've got to jump from this table to that bookshelf," he said, "and then get as far along the shelf as we can before it happens." "Before what happens?" asked Lucy. Tom didn't answer. He started to run, and Lucy ran right behind him. The tiny children dashed along the bookshelf. When they got to the end of it, they were quite close to the front of the room. They climbed down from the bookshelf to the floor. Tom put his finger to his lips. "Shh," he said to Lucy. Then he pointed across the room. Lucy looked and saw a tiny person's door on the wall near the floor. It was almost invisible, as all tiny doors are. Lucy knew what to look for, though, and she spotted it. Mrs. White was working with a reading group of 6 children very near the secret door. She had written some hard vocabulary words on the blackboard and was pointing to them. "What are they waiting for?" Tom whispered. "They've had plenty of time to get out." "Who's waiting for what?" asked Lucy. "You'll see," Tom said. "Any minute now." Suddenly, a child at the back of the room screamed, "They're loose! The gerbils are loose!" "That's it, Lucy," whispered Tom. "Get ready to run for the door." All the children rushed to the back of the room. "There's one gerbil," yelled a girl. "Where?" A scream. "Children, children!" It was Mrs. White. "I got one! Oops, it got away!" While this was going on, Tom and Lucy ran across the floor without being seen. Tom opened the secret door and they hurried through. It was pitch black in the wall passageway. So here's a picture at the end of the chapter. You can see all the human children chasing after the gerbils, and then Tom and Lucy quietly and secretly running to the hidden door to make it into the passageway to hopefully find Miss Gogg's apartment in the walls of the school. Craziness. So, Tom and Lucy's family have no idea that they've even left the Biggs house. Tom and Lucy have no idea how they're going to get back home because the gerbils are going to be in this classroom for a week. So, my question for you guys is, what do you think Tom and Lucy are going to do? Are they going to find Miss Gogg? Are they going to find a way home? Let me know your thoughts. So in the comments on our Google Classroom, right below this video and the PDF version of the chapter, I want you guys to comment on what you think Tom and Lucy are going to do next. Thank you very much to Mr. K and Teddy for joining us today for Chapter 6. And I will see you guys soon. I'm sure we'll be Zooming within the next few hours, actually. So have a great day, and I'll see you for Chapter 7.